What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Quincy Sports. And today we're going to be doing another Bracketology. This is as of March 1st, and it is the first day of the daily upload streak. I really like this. I want to see how many days in a row I can do, and I'm going to have like a punishment if I don't do it in a certain amount of days. But daily upload streak starting now. Ignore this. I'm just going to go over the first round matchup, so I'm not going to actually fill in anything, but I'm going to talk about every single team. First off, let's do the last four in. I have Richmond, Providence, Rhode Island, and Rutgers as my last four. And Rutgers has sort of been struggling in Big Ten play. They're sort of dipping. I still have them hanging on for dear life on that last four in. Rhode Island and Richmond are almost the same. They're both two great Atlantic 10 teams that are holding on to great records, but they're not getting enough respect. But I think they get enough respect to get in the last four in. And then the Providence Friars, they have been on an absolute roll. They've knocked off some teams like Villanova, Creighton, Seton Hall. They've just been taking names in the Big East, and they're on an enormous run. They have popped themselves into the last four in conversation, and that's where I have them. Over here, I have Prairie View A&M and St. Petersburg. And then the other one, I have Siena and North Carolina A&T. So, let's go to the bracketology. I have Kansas as a 1 seed, and, I mean, they're just amazing. Udoka Azubuike, Devin Dotson, I think they're like the best team in the nation. I have them at number 1. St. Mary's had sort of a, what's it called? They had, I would say, a good loss against Gonzaga. That sounds bad, but they really played well in that game, just came up short at the kennel. But they're playing well. Wisconsin, I have as a 9. Virginia, huge win against Duke by 1. Trey Jones missed that 3 at the buzzer. Their defensive game played to absolute perfection. I have them as a 5, and the highest I've seen them was like a 7. I don't understand why. They're 21-7. They're playing really well. I have them as a 5. Liberty sitting at 23-4. They're a popular upset pick. I have them as the 12 seed there. Penn State, they're sort of slipping a little bit. They're like 21-8. Still a very good team. I have them as a 4. And I have Yale as a 13. Iowa, I have as a 6 after losing to Michigan State this week. I have them dipping just a little bit from the 5 line. And I have them playing Northern Iowa, who's a very off-or-on team. They can go on a huge win streak, but then I saw one game they lost to Indiana State by like 30. So they're sort of like that. Louisville. They lost a tough one to Florida State, and I'm going to keep telling you this is the problem with Louisville. They sometimes just look like they're uninterested in the game, and I think that's a huge problem. That's exactly what happened against Florida State. They just allowed a huge run. So, Michigan, I have as a 7 against Oklahoma, the 10. Oklahoma, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of them. And I have Seton Hall as the 2 in this region against Colgate. Dayton, I have as a number 1. Everyone is San Diego State as a number 1. I'm not with that. I have Dayton as my number 1. I really think they are better than San Diego State. They have some better wins under their belt, and their losses aren't even as bad. They lost to Kansas and Colorado. Not terrible. I have them as my number 1 seed. That's Arkansas Little Rock as a 16. LSU and USC, 2 teams that I think are under the radar, to be honest with you. They're both really good teams, and they're not talked about a lot. BYU, I have as a 5. This is about as high as I've seen anyone put BYU. I'm high on them. TJ Haas, they're really good. This man can shoot threes like none other. Just like Wofford last year, they shoot a ton of threes. And I have East Tennessee State from the Southern Conference. They are my 12 seed. Villanova took a tough loss to Providence. And I'm telling you, everyone in this okay, so you have your top 5 pretty much. Dayton, San Diego State, Kansas, Baylor, and Gonzaga. After that, there's like 20 teams who are all just packed together. I have Villanova as a 4. I'm not a huge fan of them. And I have Wright State at 25-6. They are forced to be reckoned with. Colorado, I have as a 6. Tough. They've just been slipping. I'm not a huge fan of Colorado. And I have them playing the winner, Richmond, Providence. Maryland took a tough loss to my Michigan State Spartans. I'm so glad. We'll talk about Michigan State later, but I still think Maryland with Jalen Smith, and who's that other guy? I can't remember his name. But Maryland, they're still a really good team. I have them playing Winthrop. Winthrop and Radford are looking to come. They're probably going to play for the Big South title, and I think both of them might be able to pull off an upset. Marquette, I have as a 7, and Texas Tech took a bad loss against Texas. I almost dropped them down to 11 seed territory. And I have Florida State being as the 2 playing Merrimack. Florida State's really good. Even though they did lose to Clemson, but with all the other upsets in college basketball, they're still there for me. What did Baylor lost? Florida State lost. Duke lost. Creighton lost. Someone else lost too. I can't remember. I know Auburn was a ranked team. They lost. I mean, it was crazy. San Diego State, I still have as a 2 playing the Big Sky winners, Eastern Washington, as of now. I think that they're probably going to beat out Northern Colorado. I have Illinois playing Florida. Illinois picked up a big win against Indiana today, and Florida took a tough loss against Tennessee. But Florida's been trending up in the right direction. I still have them in 10-seed territory. Auburn and North Texas. Auburn's really good, but they did lose a bad one to Kentucky, but they still have one of the better overall records, even though they played some cream puffs out of conference. I still think they're a very good team. I have Houston all the way up to a 6. They've been a force to be reckoned with in the American. And I'm going to tell you, the American is going to be a fun conference to watch because Tulsa, I think, is actually leading the conference, or they're tied with Houston. If Tulsa were to rally off a bunch of wins and win the conference, Tulsa would steal a bid from a bubble team, so that's fun to watch right there. Creighton got blown out of the building by St. John's, 91-71. That was a tough game for them. I am going to drop them accordingly to a 4. Michigan State, huge, insurmountable, enormous win against Maryland. Everyone came to play. Cassius Winston, Xavier Tillman, Rocket Watts, Gabe Brown, Aaron Henry, everyone. Cassius Winston hit a ball from half court. If they start hitting their stride, they're going to be a dangerous team come March. Oh, it is March. Arizona State, Xavier. I mean, I think Arizona State's really good. Xavier's kind of overrated if you ask me, but I still think that they'll end up being in the tournament. And my 1 seed in this region is Baylor. They kind of ran, I don't know. They are, I think that the toll of the entire season is just hitting Baylor like a truck right now. They were 24-1 and they've lost 2 of their last 3. Tough loss to TCU, but I think that they'll rebound accordingly. I still think they're a 1 seed. Kentucky, huge win against Auburn last week. I have them as a 2. Ohio State, Wichita State, 2 teams I like a lot. Ohio State was a force to be reckoned with at the start of the season. If they can replicate that, they could be a force come March. But I'm still going to have them there. The Wichita State, underappreciated. They're like 22-6. They're not really getting enough love. I have them in 10-seed territory. Could be an upset/Cinderella team. Duke, I don't know, man. Duke's, they're not looking great for me. I mean, sometimes they have the same problem Louisville has. It's just like they kind of look disinterested in the game sometimes. And then taking on the Big West winners, UC Irvine. I really think that they're going to win that conference. West Virginia, I have taking on Utah State. And West Virginia, they started, what were they at one point? Like 15. They were like 15-4 or 18, and they were really good. They have not been looking great at all. I had them slipping all the way to a 6 seed when they were a 2 seed earlier in this season. Oregon and New Mexico State. I still have Oregon as a 4. Peyton Pritchard. They're still a very good team. I like that. I like what they're doing. But New Mexico State, I think there are only 2 teams undefeated in conference play. And it's New Mexico State and Dayton. So interesting development there. I really like New Mexico State a lot. Butler, I feel like just continues to fall. I'm not really a huge fan of that. It's like the middle of the pack Big East teams like Butler, Marquette, Xavier, not high on them. They have not really been playing well. Stephen F. Austin and the Southland Conference, they are a quiet 26-3. They have really been playing well. I like what they have going. They are a team to watch out for. Arizona and Indiana, Nico Mannion brings his team here. I mean, they could be way higher than an 8. They, I think, have the most potential to climb, and I really think that they could be out of 8-seed territory. And Indiana took a tough loss. I made this before they played Illinois. I probably would drop them to a 10 seed now. And then Gonzaga I have as our last number 1 seed. The West Coast Conference leaders there, like 28-2. Really, really good team there. So that's the entire bracketology. Nice little update, I guess, on every single team. You can take a look like this. I didn't really feel like filling it in because I didn't feel like that was necessary. I feel like I'll just talk about the matchups, and I hope that's good with you guys. But hope you guys liked my rankings. Let me know. That's my latest bracketology. Last 4 in: Richmond, Providence, Rhode Island, Rutgers. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Day 1 of Daily Upload Streak.